Today I'm really excited. I have Dan Gaiewski with me, and Dan is running to be our next state representative for the 40th District, which is part of New London and part of Groton.
Yep.
And you are a native of Connecticut, from Groton.
Yep.
This is born and bred. This is your home. This is your town. And this is what you want to do. You're only 24 years old. So I am so excited to get to know you, Dan, to know that you are going to be running for this office. And I'm a big fan of Christine Conley.
Yeah.
Got to say, you got big shoes to fill.
I do have
and
big
you've
shoes to
heard
fill.
that
Yep.
before.
Yep.
Yeah,
and I've
so-
known Christine for years. So.
Oh, she's great,
Yep.
isn't she? Tenacious, spirited,
Tenacious, smart.
caring. Yeah, and congratulations to Christine for her promotion.
Yes.
But she's excited about that. She won't have to go do door knocking much anymore, right? Yeah. So you're up on, people are already voting.
Yep. Today was the first day of early voting. Thank you for
Okay.
having me on Stories Worth Telling.
Absolutely.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dan Gaiewski. I am the Democratic nominee for the 40th District. And it is a pleasure to be with a former House candidate.
Yes.
Yes,
so close.
Thank you for having me on the show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So Dan, why? What is your why? Why do you want to do this?
So it really goes back to when I was just a little kid.
Okay.
And I was 6 years old. It was 2006 in Connecticut. It was Joe Courtney versus Rob Simmons, Ned
Sure.
Lamont versus
Yep.
Joe Lieberman, and Jody Rell versus John DeStefano. Wow, I can't. But Groton became like the hub because it was a swingy kind of area at the time, and there were lawn signs everywhere, and I just didn't understand what it meant.
What's going on?
And I was like just a curious little
Of course.
6-year-old.
Your mom
and
was a teacher.
My mom Yep, she was teaching preschool at that point.
Oh.
And we were driving around, and my mom's like, she's like, can we get a yard sign? And I'm like, she drove to Democratic headquarters, and she got an Andy Maynard for state Senate sign and a Congressman Joe Courtney sign. And every year we had to have a lawn sign. But so the story.
So you started young.
I started
noticing
young, and I started paying attention to local issues. I had to save every single piece of campaign literature, every single piece of constituent mailer. Like, I saved it. I just loved it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, what's not to like?
Yeah.
It's dynamic.
It was exciting to me. And then I started just, when I was probably like 10 years old, learning the issues of the town of Groton.
Of course.
And it was like, I remember during, they called it Phase 2 for the Groton school update, and then it was Groton 2020 plan after Phase 2, fixing the road on Thames Street underneath. So all those referendums, learning the issues, the Charter Revision Commission that happened that was 2018. But just kind of like all the local issues, and many in my generation are excited about the national issues, but I get excited about the local issues.
Well, who is it? All politics is local. Right?
All politics is local. And it's like, we're seeing, rising costs, which affects everyday dollars and everybody's day dollars. And it's really important that, we still have good public schools.
Absolutely.
And we're educating our
Number
children.
one, one thing, education, right?
People don't realize that, and, being the son of a public school teacher, people don't realize that, there's a lot of talk right now on the national level about eliminating the Department of Education, but basically that's just kind of a funding source, and it's a strong funding source. And but curriculum's decided at the local level.
Absolutely.
How much money is decided is at
Class
the local level.
sizes.
Class sizes, what's being taught, what services are available, extracurricular activities. It's all at the local level.
All the clubs.
So yep. So that's something that's on my mind, and then cost of living, the housing situation, the expansion of EB and how that's going to happen, how that's going to have an impact on our local area, are all things on my mind, and all things that I'm ready to go and fight for and advocate for Groton and New London residents on day one.
I love that, and that's amazing. And the thing that I noticed reading the newspaper article, which I happened to bring a copy of and had to kind of read it carefully so that I would know what I should ask you. Well, number one thing is education, and I know education is just so important. Like what you said, that it might be cut by at the national federal level.
Yeah, and Groton and New London get federal dollars from the federal government.
A lot of federal dollars.
New London gets $1.7 million in low income funding, and then Groton gets roughly 800,000, and then Groton's total based on the military base, it's around $6 million comes from the federal government, which is which is a significant amount of Groton's budget. $6 million, that's just over, I want to say, around $400 a year in tax money for the average household in the town of Groton.
That we would lose.
Yeah. And it's like, the question is, as a town councilor right now, is if we do lose that, I'll emphasize an if, but it's chaos going on down there. So it's like, what's the solution? Groton has been continuously Groton's enrollment has declined.
And why is that?
It's just, there's less children enrolling in our schools. We have a aging population.
Okay.
And so with that, our ECS money should be going down. But since we are an alliance district, we are held harmless, so we don't lose any funding that we've had from the years previous.
Right.
But we will not see an increase in our ECS funding. So it's vitally important that the next legislator continues to make sure Groton is held harmless, just based on the alliance district status, which is a number of factors. It has to do with attendance in schools,
graduation rate,
test scores. What type of classes? So it's a whole list of factors that make you an alliance district. Sometimes constituents in Groton get concerned that it's a bad like stain on the public school system, but it's not. New London's also an alliance. They're still good schools. It's just what can we do to make them higher performing schools? And it's a whole bunch of factors that make it an alliance district, and it's something that it's, if you phase out of an alliance district, okay, I believe there's 37 alliance districts, 37 roughly, somewhere around there, somewhere in that range. But, if you phase out of being an alliance district, say you're the 38th and you're not in the 37, you're not an alliance district of 37, you're still just the 38th. So it's like, there's a balance that we have to find. I heavily encourage our Board of Education and our teachers to keep educating the children to the best of their ability. And don't worry about the financial and legal stuff. That's for members of the Board of Education to figure out, and that's for the town council to assist and the state legislators to advocate on behalf of the school district. And, my experience of knowing that kind of process, from working at the legislature to being on the town council to having a family member in the school system and learning it and paying attention to it for as long since I was 10 years old, I'm ready to go on day one to advocate for that.
Absolutely. Well, and you brought up something that I thought was really interesting. And one is that education is so important, and people's value of their house is based on the quality of the school system. And we have to be aware of that, because that makes a big difference. Like, are you going to move into a town where the schools have a good reputation? That's what you want for your kids. Also, we talked a little bit about internships, and we don't have enough people necessarily who are filling some of the positions at Electric Boat, and you talked a little bit about helping with that.
Yeah, internships and apprenticeship programs, they're great ways for individuals to develop the skills that they need. Our unions have done a great job of creating apprenticeship programs across the state for different types of trades. And I think, we've gone in the free tuition for community colleges, depending on your income, and, figuring that out. And I think since with the needed influx, EB has said that they're going to hire 3,000 new workers in this year. The question is, can they fill the workforce?
Right.
And is the individuals here to do it? But, increasing the amount of apprenticeship programs can help fast track those individuals to be working at Electric Boat and filling the jobs. And these are good paying jobs. They're union jobs that have benefits, retirement, health insurance, you name it, they have it. And this is something that, it's a great career. And we're seeing a shortage in the trades, and we need to help fill that shortage. It's no different. And the same thing can be said for nursing and teaching. We are seeing
big decline in those areas.
We're seeing a decline, and those are vital areas. At Electric Boat, it's a vital area to our local economy here. And then nurses taking care of individuals that need medical care, and teachers educating our youth. So those 3 areas, finding apprenticeship programs, internships, making it easier to graduate with the necessary certifications and the necessary skills to perform those jobs and be ready to fill in the pipeline as we have them.
Well, and I think that you're in an area where college isn't necessarily the right thing for everybody.
No, it's not.
It's not, and we know that. And so some people go to college, they want to do that, but some people want to do more of the trade kind of thing, and that's perfect. We need people to do those jobs.
I was somebody who was college bound. Like, I wanted to go into the government field and do that. So that was something I needed to go to college for that. But I have friends that, didn't go to college, and that's perfectly fine. And I think there was an emphasis for a long time that, you had to go to college.
Right.
And
I think we realized the mistake.
We're starting to see that turn. We're starting to see that turn again, which is a good thing because, college wasn't for everyone.
No, it's not.
And it's getting more and more expensive. We're looking at increasing tuition at UConn, which is a major thing. And, sometimes if you go to college and you don't know what you want to do, you're putting up a pretty penny of a lot of money to go and attend college, not really knowing what you're doing. And that's a major investment. So really, having...
That planning is so important.
Yeah, the planning is so important. And, having... and sometimes, industries change, and sometimes people have second careers in their careers. So
it's not like when your mom and dad maybe were younger and they do the same thing for 40 years kind of thing. Yeah. It's changing. That's really changing. It's really interesting. One of my family friends, they were an engineer with my dad, and then they ended up going to law school. And it was just, it was a career change. And absolutely.
It's okay to change careers.
Absolutely.
It's okay to do different things, and I think, there is a stigma of the tradition of, like you said, working in the same profession for 40 years. And, you can always make it exciting if you're happy in that profession, but sometimes, you got to make a change for your own bit, which is okay.
You have to do what fits, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I'm on the Board of Ed in East Lyme, and I know in the Board of Ed we talk a lot about the Pathways program and getting our young learners already into the fields and doing those experiences, and they are just having a wonderful time, and they're walking away with just so much more. So tell me, one of the things that was mentioned in the article that was written up about you is getting young people your age, the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, to be here. How can we do that? How can we incentivize that? What ideas do you have with that?
Yeah, so it's really, with people in my generation, we're seeing a lot of people leave the area. One, because there's not as many opportunities. We have Electric Boat, which is a great company to go work for, but if you want to do something else, there may not be as many opportunities here. And when you're in your 20s, the excitement of the big city is really attractive. Sure. And we're in between that, but the reason I'm here is I love it here. And I didn't want it.
We're just a train ride away.
Yeah, I know. We're a train ride.
2 hours to Boston or 2
hours to make this
to...
place more attractive is one thing that we're seeing is, and this is a state problem, we are seeing a housing shortage. And, rents are through the roof. I'm a renter too. I'm fortunate enough that I have a roommate that my rent comes down. It's one of my childhood friends, but we're seeing increases in rent, so there's an affordability issue with housing.
Absolutely.
The way we do that, Groton has hit its quota, and I can't remember New London's quota off the top of my head, but the area is, we need, in order for rents to come down, you need to increase supply. So in order to increase supply, you have to find the land. And right now, a lot of land is tied up owned by private
developers.
It's owned by private property owners who may not want to sell. But so we need to create incentives to develop land that's what they classify as vacant / developable. Groton has 20% of its land preserved that is accessible for public use, and then it has another 10% that is just not developable that it will be preserved. So they're looking at about 30% of our land is protected, so it's good for the environment. And then we have a lot of land out there that's classified as vacant developable that we need to incentivize to do these developments. I really like I like the governor's initiative in the Time to Own program, which helps pay down payments for housing options to increase home ownership in the state of Connecticut. So that's a very attractive program. When the legislature and the governor passed paid family medical leave, it was a benefit to workers. It's something that some states don't have, so it makes our state. So there are certain little things that we can do. So housing is probably the main thing that could. And then when the increase in housing and the stock of it, it makes it more attractive to corporate developers.
Absolutely.
And you might see greater investment in restaurants and entertainment purposes, and being so close to the casinos, we do have great entertainment up there, but it's still not in your backyard. And here in Groton, seeing different types of development that really fit. The development we have seen have been apartment complexes, car washes, and gas stations, and it's something that is consistently told to me on the campaign. So seeing a diversity of our development, but in order to see the diversity in the development, we have to fix our housing stock issue.
Absolutely. It's just that important. And the cost of energy too. Electric rates are just skyrocketed, right?
Yeah, half my district is is a member of Groton Utilities, which is a public utility company. So they actually saw a decrease in their rates this year. But if you're like me and you're an Eversource customer, your rates are through the roof. So there are different ways that we can look at is preventing. The legislature has done some things in the past to reduce it, and Eversource consistently finds a way around it, and sneaking it in to the public benefits charge, which has been a hot topic. They've been sneaking some of those fees into the public benefits charge. So it's really kind of an interesting dynamic. One thing I look forward to working with the legislator is granting PURA a little bit more authority. I don't think it's right that Eversource made $800 million in profit, which was just reported in the news, and ratepayers are hurting. So looking at, possibly changing the lines of energy distributors and saying, hey, maybe, increase some competition in the market. I know in Groton, it'd be very easy for Groton Utilities to offer their customers, but it's Eversource's territory and they can't expand into the territory. So looking at, ways, I think we're going to really have to play hardball with Eversource, just because of the way of the nature that electricity distribution is set up in the state of Connecticut. It's something that we desperately need to focus on, because if we don't focus on it, ratepayers are the ones getting hurt.
Absolutely.
And it is, I think there's a universal agreement that Eversource is not helping people, and we need to do something to help the people that elect us. There are different solutions being thrown out there, and I look forward to joining those discussions.
Absolutely. Well, it's all about accountability.
Yeah,
too.
no, definitely accountability.
And you got a lot of endorsements. Let's see, the Working Family Party.
Yep.
AFL-CIO.
Yep.
Planned Parenthood Votes Connecticut.
Yep.
CSEA.
Yep.
SEIU local. I'm not sure I know what that means.
Yeah, most of them are unions. I also got Young Democrats Connecticut. Susan Beisowitz, my former boss who I interned, she gave me an endorsement. So I have
Local 326 North Atlantic States Region Council of Carpenters.
Yep.
So they all know you.
Yeah, no, I've had great conversations with them, and it is vitally important.
So you really can relate to people who are union
Yeah,
workers, the
yeah.
guys who pound the hammer or pull things.
Yeah, my mom is, as I mentioned, is a public school teacher.
Right.
She's a member of Connecticut Education Association.
Yeah.
And she's an active member of Connecticut Education
Of course.
Association. So I learned from a very young age never to cross a picket line, and we always support our union workers no matter
nice.
what profession they're in. And the story I tell is when Wisconsin and they ended up passing their right to work law, which weakened the unions. My mom, when I was 10 years old, made me go and wear red to school for a week as part of the protest. And it was just saying, hey, it was like an education, my mom being a teacher, it was an education moment. We're going to wear red for ed today, red for ed and red for union support.
Nice.
And then when I was in high school, Stop and Shop went on strike.
I remember.
And my mom, we were involved in the school and doing an event. She's like, didn't we have an order with Stop and Shop?
Uh-oh.
And my mom said, I'm like, you're right. And I remember walking in to the admin office, and I'm like, you guys are in this union, you're in this union, you're in this union. And I pointed to like everybody in the office of their union. I said, we need to cancel that order now. We don't cross picket lines. And I was like, and I think
you were 10 at the time?
No, this was when I was in high school, so I was 18. I was
Okay,
like 16, 17,
maybe.
16,
Yeah,
17 at
older.
the time, and they looked at me like I was insane. But they understood the point.
And they respected you.
And they respected me. And I earned, I've been doing local, people are saying, I'm only 24, but I've been involved in local politics since I was 15.
Well, let's back up a little bit, because since you were 15.
15, I got involved.
Okay, well, I think we can say you started at 6 if
Yeah.
you were doing yard
Yeah, I
signs,
know, doing the yards, yeah. So,
So let's talk about Susan Beisowitz. You worked
yeah,
with.
all right. I'll do my political career resume. So
Okay.
So Joe Dela Cruz knocked on my door at 15, and I started asking him questions about his candidacy and what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Then I met him. So that was in 2016. So 2016, I helped him and Christine Conley flip the seats that now I'm running for.
Yeah.
Chris's seat. And then in 2017, I helped on the Groton municipal campaign, flipped the town council from 8-1 Republican to 9-0 Democrat. And then in 2018, I helped Bob Stachin on his campaign. And then I helped in the last couple days to go work for Joe and Chris and just kind of helping the team.
Of course.
In the local area. 2019, I knocked doors I started college, and I did knock doors one time when I came home on Columbus Day weekend.
Nice.
2020 was the presidential election year.
Yep.
In 2020, I was the Biden-Harris coordinator for most of the 2nd Congressional District.
Okay.
Just kind of organizing people who wanted to get involved in the national campaign.
Nice.
The chairman of that, of Biden-Harris Connecticut, was Sean Scanlon, who is now state comptroller.
Yeah.
So I had experience working with him. And then I also was Joe Dela Cruz's field organizer for his campaign during that. So I was doing double duty on that one. And then in 2021, I was an intern in Congressman Courtney's office.
Nice.
So then I worked there. And then 2022, I was in the House Dems coordinated campaign. So I would go and help on competitive races for candidates across the state of Connecticut for the Connecticut House Democratic Caucus. 2023, I was an intern in Susan Beisowitz's office, and then in 2024, I got my current job, which is a constituent engagement coordinator for the House Democratic Caucus. So I have been doing, and then in 2023, I also got elected to the Groton Town Council.
Well, congratulations.
So I have I've done
Your
something.
resume is pretty impressive.
I've done something different every single year, but managed to continue to stay involved. And I've been a member of the Groton Democratic Town Committee since 2019.
You're vice chair of that?
I was vice chair. I got elected vice chair of that in January of 23. So yeah, I've been busy. I've been moving.
And you have a lot of energy.
Oh, I have so much. When opportunities present themselves, I'm not afraid to go jump on it.
Absolutely.
And I'm not afraid to go make a difference. And that's what makes me ready to be a state legislator at such a young age.
You are well-spoken.
Yeah.
And you're bright. And you've got good background and knowledge, and all of that just plays so well into that. But I think probably the most important thing is that you know so many people, and you already have some of the inroads. So you already have your core values, but you also have your core team of people that you'll be able to work with.
Yeah, I know. It's on day one. I'm ready to go. I don't need to learn where the bathroom is.
No.
I don't know. If I do win, I don't know where my office is going to be, but I'm going to know where to find it.
Right.
Because I just know my way around the building.
Exactly.
And going from a staff position to an elected position, there's going to be a little bit of a transition, but for me, it's going to be just slight things. Because when I was working at the Capitol, I could be doing a wide range of things, from helping a constituent get the services they need to assisting on legislation. I was doing a wide range of topics. And, one of the things I worked on an energy accountability bill.
Of course.
So I've done a wide range of tasks, and I've had that diversity. I've had the necessary training. I mean, it's one of the main, you mentioned your why. one of the main reasons is I'm doing this is because, I'm up there and I'm serving, residents. I'm helping residents at different communities, but I want to serve my community. I want to do it. And, I've had great mentors here in the Groton area, such as Chris Conley, my predecessor, and Joe Dela Cruz, and Andre Bumgardner, who will hopefully be my colleague, and then in New London with Senator Marks and Representative Nolan. So I've, really worked well. I've worked with each of them for a very long time. I know how they kind of have an idea of how they operate, how they like to do the things, what issues they're passionate about. And, joining that team of the Groton and New London team is something that I'm looking heavily forward to. And it's just an honor to even have the opportunity to put your name on the ballot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're coming close on the finish line. Elections are already in place.
Early voting started today.
Yeah.
There's 3 more days of early voting. So, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 10 to 6. If you're a Groton resident, you can do it at the Groton Community Center, which is the old Fitch Middle School, which is diagonally across from Dairy Queen. And then in New London, it's at New London City Hall, which is kind of you get in the back way of City Hall, so behind the City Hall. So it's exciting. And then the last day to vote is Tuesday, February 25th.
And that's coming up.
Your normal polling location. So if you live in Groton, you vote at the school administration building, Mary Morrison School, or the city municipal building, you are the ones eligible to vote. And then if you live in New London and you vote at the Nathan Hale School, you are eligible to vote in this special election. That's been a little challenge, because some people have reached out saying, do I vote? And it's like, no, you live in Representative Bumgardner's district, or you live in Representative Nolan's district on the New London side, and kind of educating people. It's been a part of the campaign.
Absolutely. And I don't know why they do that, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's how the lines were drawn,
So you're getting ready, to cross the finish line. What are you hearing from constituents? What are they saying to you that you want to take forward, and why is voting important? I guess is the other question.
Voting important. Lots of things I'm hearing national issues.
Absolutely.
But I mean, as a state person, I'm focused on local issues. But national issues are impact, as we talked earlier. National issues are playing an impact on the local level with education funding and a whole bunch of other things. So it does have an impact here.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm hearing. And I'm doing a little bit of education when I'm talking about saying, hey, national impact, they are going to have an effect on local. And as a state legislator, I'd have to adjust and figure out how I can help resolve those issues with the national level. But
we just have to get the voters out there.
Get the voters out.
Yeah. And you've been doing all the right things out there, campaigning, doing all the right things.
Yeah.
So we just have a few minutes left. It seems like we've covered a lot of information. We've talked about your why. We've talked about your how. We've talked about your when, who.
Yeah.
What is left? What do voters need to know about you?
Just
you're personable.
You're
approachable.
I'm very approachable. I mean, as a Groton Town Councilor, I have a policy. If you send me an email to my council email, I will get back to you regardless of if I know you did. Like, I had a former Republican member of the active Republican in town, and they emailed me, and I emailed them right back.
Well, I love that too. If you're running for office, you don't just represent the Democrats or the people who voted for you. You're representing everybody, every constituent.
So if you live in my district and you have a question, you'll get an email.
Nice.
You'll get an email
back. Nice. And a lot of people are calling those offices now.
Yep.
And giving.
That was my day job. I was dealing with those phone calls. I know how to have those conversations, and then if elected, my staff would know how to have those conversations. And, I think every representative has their own unique spin of what they want their staff to be saying to their constituents. And, we figure it out. So I have an idea of how I'd want that to be.
Of course.
It'll be exciting, and we'll be ready to go.
Let's just throw this out there. Why you? Why not your opponent?
I'm part of a newer generation. I have new ideas.
He's 30 years older than you.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I have a new perspective.
Yep.
On, but I also have the experience to go with it.
Yep.
So that's what makes me a Democratic. And then I have elected office experience. My opponent doesn't. I mean, so.
And that's big. That is really, really big.
Yeah, because as an elected official, you have to know you have to. It's relationship building, and it's a different type of relationship building. It's
Absolutely.
not like going into an office and so going in there. But whatever the voters decide on Tuesday, I will respect the outcome of those results.
Of course
and
you will.
I will, if my opponent wins the election, I will be wishing him nothing but the best.
Right.
Because
that's what you do.
His best is the best for the community.
Absolutely, and that's what you want at the end of the day. Well, you're approachable, and you know what? You're not going to be afraid to approach the other people
No,
either.
I'm not.
So that's
No,
the other.
I've always been fearless. I'm not afraid to go up to somebody and introduce myself and have a conversation.
Perfect. So you did a beautiful job explaining who you are. I think people are going to be excited to get out there and vote for you, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the election results are going to be. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being on.
Pleasure. Oh, the pleasure was mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool.